Hello, everyone. My name is Ana Martha Ayala, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. As a reminder, I do every video in English and Spanish, and the degree theory is based on modern Western astrology using the Placidus house system. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about the month of July. Um, for the most part, I know that on a mundane level, things remain tense and I expect July for that energy to continue. However, things on a personal level, uh, they look pretty okay. I think that on a personal level, we'll do fine. So, July continues a period where planets begin to retrograde again. Because this year we've only really had 3 to 4 weeks where all the planets were direct. Besides, Pluto already went retrograde on May 4th. Neptune will retrograde this month on July 4th, and Saturn will go retrograde on July 12th. And then we have a Mercury retrograde on July 17th. So July starts to slow things down again. But the highlight, right, of this month is that Uranus will enter Gemini on July 7th for the first time in 84 years. So this is a monumental move, right? Uranus will stay in Gemini for the next 7 years. And just as a reminder, when I do these monthly videos, I only talk about the Ptolemy aspects, which are the conjunction, the square, the opposition, and the trines. Sextiles are just a tiny opportunity and it's very specific. The orb has to be almost exact and it all depends on your natal chart. That's why I mentioned the degrees. You use the degrees with an orb of plus or minus 3 degrees, especially if you have planets in the signs that I mentioned, or you have oppositions, squares also. And then, like I said, plus or minus 3 degrees, or if you have angles in your chart that are on those degrees, then it's a good chance that something that I say will happen to you, but it doesn't happen to everybody. So let's start. On July 4th, we have Venus conjunct Uranus in Taurus at 29 degrees. For those of you who are single, all of a sudden, Uranus, you can meet a person that sweeps you off your feet. But start this off slow and steady. Keep this pace, the pace steady, because when you meet someone and your natal Venus squares Uranus, then this is the classic, love at first sight type of thing, where the relationship is thrilling, is exciting, but it fades quickly. It doesn't last long. So just keep this in mind around July 4th, because here in America, we celebrate the United States independence. So at a July 4th generation celebration, if you have any planets around the 29 degrees of Taurus, then, you might meet someone. So keep that in mind. Have fun, but keep the pace very slow. On July 4th, Neptune goes retrograde at Aries in two degrees of Aries, and it will go direct December 10th at 25 degrees, 29 degrees of Pisces. So again, Aries at 2 degrees, it begins to retrograde, and then it will go direct on Pisces at 29 degrees. So if you have any planets plus or minus 2 degrees of Aries, and then in December, plus or minus 29 degrees of Pisces, this Neptune retrograde will station at those degrees. So, more Neptunian energy will affect any planet that you have in Aries at 2 degrees, Pisces at 29 degrees. And if you're in that 3-degree range, then you will be affected as well. On July 4th, Venus enters Gemini. So this is going to be very good for the Geminis. and Aquarius and Libra because they are air signs, right? July 7th, Uranus enters Gemini, which is one of the great features of 2025. The last time Uranus was in Gemini was from 1941 to 1949. So we can expect a lot of innovation in transportation, in travel, in media, in technology, um, anywhere where like computers, cell phones, cars, um, areas of transportation, delivery, publications, right? If you're not publications, but like websites, um, let's see what else does short travels, things of that nature. I did do a video. Actually, I think I've done a couple of videos on this Uranus and Gemini. The last one was on the jobs that I think will be affected. So you may want to go in and look at that. And it has very specific details. Now, on July 7th, Venus trines Pluto retrograde in Gemini uh, and Aquarius at 3 degrees. So Venus is in Gemini, Pluto is in Aquarius. This is a trine around, it's at 3 degrees, so plus or minus 3 degrees. This is great for air signs, especially Gemini, Aquarius, Libras too, right? But because Venus and Pluto are in Gemini and Aquarius, it benefits them the most, right? But Libras will get some of this energy too because the air signs can feel very sexy, very attractive. If you have your natal Venus in Gemini, then you get an extra brownie point, right? You're going to be looking fabulous for this period of time. July 10th, the full moon is in Capricorn at 18 degrees. So let me share my screen because this is going to be a very, even though it's at Capricorn 18 degrees, and let me show you how I get this to this screen, right? I go on astro-seek.com, and then this is the moon calendar. And here you have a choice of anything that you want to do with this, right? You have the eclipses, you have the full moons, new moons, the void, of course, moon, if you're interested in that, but this is where I get the information. You go down here, July 10th, it's a full moon in Capricorn at 18 degrees. You click on the chart, and then this comes up. July 10th, the full moon, it is in Capricorn, and as you all know, I hope you know by now, because I say it in every video, that a full moon is when the moon is in opposition to the sun, right? Now, this has a sextile to the sun from Mars. It has a trine to the moon from Mars. It has Pluto sextiling Saturn and Neptune. It has Pluto trining Venus and Uranus, and then Uranus is sextiling Saturn, right? So, and then Saturn is also sextiling Pluto. Now, what does this all mean? Eh, the full moon has a trine from Mars, so there can be something work related because it's 18 degrees, the degree of Virgo. Now, I know 18 degrees is one of those malefic degrees, but for right now, I'm using it in the context of Virgo because the 18 degrees relates to your personal chart, not on a mundane level for this full moon. So there's something maybe work related that you can take action on. Venus is still conjunct Uranus right here. So there could be windfalls and money. There could be also love, could be in the air, or at least attraction. Um, you can show a lot of passion for a work-related project that you're doing. Um, or maybe a, a business venture because Pluto is trining Venus. Pluto is trining Venus, so this could be like big time money related to something, some kind of business project development that you're working on. So Pluto And there, of course, like I said, there are sextiles from Uranus and Pluto to Saturn. So this will give it some stability and endurance. Remember that Saturn rules time. Now, July 12th, a Saturn, okay, so let me stop sharing. Um, on July 12th, Saturn goes retrograde at 2 degrees of Aries, and it will go direct on November 27th at 25 degrees. So for those of you who have planets or the angles of the chart at Aries 2 degrees or Pisces 25 degrees, or planets, like I said, in either sign, Aries 2 degrees, Pisces 25 degrees, plus or minus 3 degrees, Saturn is going to bring delays, is going to bring lessons. Wherever the Aries 2 degrees falls or wherever the Pisces 25 degrees falls. So keep in mind, this area of your chart is going to slow down because Saturn will go retrograde. On July 17th, you have Mercury going retrograde at Leo 16 degrees to go direct on August at 11 degrees. No, August 11th at 4 degrees. So the Mercury retrograde is July 17th in Leo at 16 degrees, and it will go direct on August 11th at Leo 4 degrees. So I am like the old-time fashion astrologer or classical astrologer that asks you to wait, if possible, to sign any document that's important, like a lease, a purchase of a big ticket item. Don't initiate or end travel when Mercury is stationing. So Mercury stations at July 17th and it stations in August 11th. Okay, so the beginning and the ending of a Mercury retrograde is not a good time to initiate travel or end travel. And during this period, I don't buy any electronics. If you need to sign a document, review it very carefully because there will be mistakes there. If you need to buy a car because your car dies or your computer dies, then get an extended warranty. A long time ago, I mean, many, many years ago, I had it was tax season and my computer died. It died. So I didn't have to go buy a computer in the middle of a Mercury retrograde. It has been the only computer where the motherboard melted. And needless to say, that computer was a nightmare. But I'm just telling you my experience with it. So I do follow not buying anything when, Mercury is retrograde because you end up taking it back anyway, even clothes. July 22nd, the sun enters Leo. So happy birthday to all of the Leos. Many blessings to you. Um, Health, love, happiness are my wishes for you all. The sun will sextile Uranus, so there may be a surprise that you didn't expect, um, especially if it's your birthday on July 22nd. July 23rd, Venus squares Mars in Gemini at Virgo at 21 degrees. Um, so there can be a lot of passion in the air tonight, right? Venus in Gemini squaring Mars in Virgo. Now leaving love aside, don't get into any arguments about money. Venus rules love and money. That's why I'm saying. Sahara keeps hitting this is hey, stop. I'm doing a video. Sorry. She always wants to talk about a Velcro dog. On July 23rd, Venus squares Mars, like I said, Gemini and Virgo at 21 degrees. Now, July 24th, we have a new moon in Leo at 2 degrees. So let me bring up the chart for that new moon. And like I said, it's the same thing. So this is the other chart. Here we go. Wait, stop. Now the new moon is when you have the sun and the moon conjunct, and it's in Leo at 2 degrees. So we have an opposition from Pluto. Pluto is being a sextile by Saturn still. Saturn is trining the sun, right? Pluto is in trine to Uranus. And Uranus is sextiling Saturn and it is sextiling this new moon. So again, what does this all mean? So first of all, this new moon is jam-packed with a lot of aspects. Um, the sun trining Saturn brings stability, and the sun trining Neptune brings a lot of creativity, dreaming, aspirations. The sun in opposition to Pluto up here, don't get into power struggles with people that have power over you, whether it's your boss, your parents, your manager, just, needless to say, authority figures, do not get into power struggles with these people. Saturn and Neptune sextile Uranus, so there could be a surprise, and also creativity in the air. Perhaps this turns out to be the best creative project that you've ever worked on for this year. So this could be, I like this new moon. I think it's very nice. So let's hope that everybody gets something positive. Now, July 30th, Venus enters Cancer. Hold on, because yay. All right, as I was saying, July 30th, Venus enters Cancer. So this benefits the water signs, Cancer, um, Scorpio, and Pisces, especially if you have Venus in Cancer. So this will make you more attractive. You will feel much better about your appearance. And then, of course, the water signs get the benefit, like I said, Scorpio and Pisces. And finally, on July 31st, the sun will conjunct Mercury retrograde at Leo 9 degrees. So it's a great day for a communication project, to write, to edit, give a presentation, a speech. Also a great day to negotiate or travel, but don't sign anything important because Mercury is retrograde if it can wait. And if not, I've already given you the, what do you call it? The prevention methods, right? Like read everything very carefully. Um, just go over any figures if you're making a presentation. Um, if you're writing something, make sure that there's no spelling mistakes and so on and so forth. So with this, I conclude the video. Thank you for watching. If you would like a natal chart reading with me, please send me an email to amaastrology@aol.com. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and send it to somebody else that you think might be interested in learning the astrology or what the month of July holds for them. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.